Now, if you ask me, man, I think this is the most exciting time to be a fan of Detroit sports in a very, very, very long time, man. First, I gotta say, give it up to Miguel Cabrera, one of the greatest legends to ever play the game of basketball. Ever, man. I love Miggy. Now, Pudge Rodriguez was my guy back in the day, but we're not here to talk about baseball. Just pay respects to one of the greatest of all time, right, man? But what we are here to talk about is the 2024 Detroit Pistons, because the media day was yesterday at the making of this video, and for whatever reason, no, I think it was today. See, that's the issue. Because guess what? For whatever reason, they decided not to stream it, man. Like, there was a ton of other media days going on. Them things was live streamed. You had to go to Twitter, at CrispyFlakes2K, by the way, to pull up some quotes that could have or could not have been true about what the Pistons were saying at their own personal media day, man. You had to rely on sources that were actually there. We didn't get to watch it. And I don't understand that. What year is it? 2023, man. But regardless of that, I thought it'd be a good day to make a video just giving my thoughts about the season, kind of what's going into it. Just because from like an off-season standpoint, it was pretty low-key. Not really too much went on. I mean, obviously, we drafted Asar Thompson. We brought in some veteran players, like Monte Morris. We're going to be talking all about them and everything like that. But for the most part, it was pretty nonchalant, which is okay. I think the big focus is just to kind of see where Cade's at. And then at that point, Monte Williams is going to see who he has skill-wise, but also just who he has personnel-wise. And I think by the trade deadline, depending on how things are going, you could maybe see a big move happen. If not, definitely next offseason, I can see the Pistons being a big-time player. Just because I don't know if you guys have been watching the Detroit Lions. If not, man, you got to buckle up and watch because they've been very exciting. And with that team, you could really just feel the Detroit passion again. It's not been there for a long time. And I will say, in the end of the day, yes, I understand that Detroit is not always the most suitable spot for free agents, despite there being a lot of beautiful areas. But, reputation, there's nothing I will say that's going to convince you that Detroit's nice. But what we do have is we have some of the greatest fans ever, man. Just, if you come to Detroit and you show out and you show that you want to be part of something great, the fans will back you up every single time, man. They will die on every single mountain when it comes to arguing about you. Of course, you can't be biased, but we're all a little biased when it comes to our favorite teams. I know you are too, man. Come on now. Okay, so let's go ahead and start talking about some players. I'm just going to go by age because it seems like, the more, for the most part, the more important players are the younger ones on the team, which, is when you add in some good, savvy veterans, that could be a recipe for probably playing tournament at the very best. But, it's the first season. That's what I like about Monte Williams, is that I really think when it comes down to it, he's going to do a great job of kind of guiding this young Pistons team on the stepping stones to success. Now, if you come into next season expecting a championship, you'll probably be let down. But, playing tournament, I think that's a great place to start. And I think that they could even make the playoffs and win a game or two, man. Because the last few times, we made the playoffs back, we had Blake Griffin on the team and everything. Or back when Stanley Johnson said he was going to shut down LeBron James. I think that was 2016. That didn't quite work out. We didn't win any playoff games. So, yeah, man. But all right, so let's start with the first player, the youngest player on the team, Jalen Duren. So he's actually, he's younger than Asar Thompson. That's crazy, man. But yes, Jalen Duren. So last I heard is that they want to run him at the 4 sometimes. Now, I have a buddy out there that was talking to me about Jalen Duren a few months ago, and he kind of told me that, this is his comparison, I'm not saying it's mine, but I guess we'll see, right? He said that Jalen Duren is the next Kevin Garnett. Now, I've kind of seen flashes of Dwight Howard personally, that athleticism and everything, but, for him to play that 4 spot, he better become KG, because KG had himself a nice little elbow midi that, was just buckets, man, the man was just buckets, okay? So, I don't know if I love it. I think there's a logjam when it comes to big guys on this team. I think there's one guy. Man, it's that's the thing. That's okay, we'll talk more about that, because next up on the list here, we got Asar Thompson. So, Asar Thompson, Cade was just talking about him at the media day, and he was saying that the most underrated aspect of this kid's game is his playmaking. Which I love to hear that, because when you have as many big guys as the Pistons do, you're going to need guys that can run the pick and roll and get the ball to them in smart situations. Like, that makes a huge difference at that 3 spot. Then obviously with Jaden Ivey's athleticism and even Asar Thompson's athleticism, I feel like with both those guys being capable playmakers, they could play off each other very nicely, man. Like, based off the matchup, I don't know, you got some slow dude on me, then all of a sudden it's like, all right, I'll handle the ball. You beat that guy off the slash every single time, man. Backcourt cut style based off the matchup, like I was saying. So, yeah, Asar Thompson, I'm really looking forward to him playing. I think I could see him potentially struggling with his shot early on. I think that's going to be, just some things that's going to take some time. You might even, to compare him to one of my favorite Pistons of all time, I could see him becoming the Tayshaun Prince of this team. I could see him becoming, that lockdown defender that's not going to score you 25 a game, but he's capable of it. And if somebody goes down with injury, Asar Thompson's next up, no questions asked, but playing within a system, he's going to play his role. He's going to be that glue guy and play it perfectly. That's just my opinion, man. I love Asar Thompson. I'm happy with him as the pick. Yes, obviously, everybody wanted Victor Wembanyama, but we got Asar, and I don't know. I'm excited for him to play for the squad, man. So next up, we got Jaden Ivey. So Jaden Ivey, I was watching him a few months ago in Summer League, and jump shot, there's still some improvements to be having right there, but I think he will get there in time. He's got a year under his belt, which when you play as quick as a guy like Jaden Ivey does, that 1 year of experience, that can have a huge effect going into year 2, because when you play at such a high pace in the game of basketball where you have to really be able to shift gears, having that experience is going to teach you, at what portions of the game or in what play calls, what sets to have a certain gear man make the right choice. So Jaden Ivey, with Cade being out there, his shooting abilities and everything, I could see Ivey ball handling a lot. We'll kind of see. I think he should, but at the same time, I do like him playing off other players and using that quickness to his advantage. So, crazy wingspan. Hope he kind of takes another step defensively. And, if he can shoot 35 a clip from the three-point line, I think we'll be in a pretty good place when it comes to him. Next up, we got the man, the myth, the legend, Cade Cunningham, former number 1 pick. And Cade said that his big focus on this offseason was shooting. And we all know that he played, in the Team USA scrimmage or whatever that was, and he was dominating, man. He was dominating the top talent. Now, the Eastern Conference as a whole has a lot of talent in it. The power's kind of shifting that way, in my opinion. So, Cade is going to need to have a spectacular start to the season to do something like make the All-Star team. I do think it's possible. I could see Cade coming out, and I don't know, man, if he gets the shots up, I could see him early on being 25 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds per game, easy peasy, man, like no problem at all. So I'm expecting big things, hoping, for a blessed season from the young blood out there. But the game, the Pistons roster, franchise, it's in good hands with Cade Cunningham. So I'm excited to see what he can bring this season. Next up, we got Killian Hayes. I ain't gonna lie, man. If Killian's out there getting PT and he's showing improvement, that's cool. There's some other guys like Monte Morris that I think I trust more as a backup point guard. Because the backup role, you don't want uncertainty there, man. You want a veteran that can come in for 20 minutes and give you that 7 points, 4 assists on not like 2% shooting from layups. You know what I'm saying, man? You know what I'm saying? Like, you want that consistency right there. And Monte Morris, obviously, I thought he was one of the best backup point guards of the Denver Nuggets a few seasons ago. Last year, he was a starter for the Washington Wizards. So I trust him more. And if he's playing the backup point guard, then the last thing we need is Killian Hayes playing the backup shooting guard. Because that's just guard at that point, man. That's a no shooting guard right there, okay? So, no, all love to Killian Hayes. It's got to be this season, man. If you're going to get the PT, it's got to be this season, or it's time to get traded. And a team I really like him getting traded to would be like the San Antonio Spurs. I think that would be good for him. So, just my thoughts on him real quick there. Next up, we got, we'll kind of do these two together. Isaiah Stewart and James Wiseman. I don't expect either one of these players to start. Now, if they're playing Duren at power forward, then maybe the idea is to put Wiseman out there. But I guess we didn't learn from Greg Monroe, Andre Drummond like 10 years ago that don't work anymore, man. So if Wiseman, God forbid, can knock down a few jump shots, expand the range, and Duren can use that athleticism and maybe have a little midi of his own, then in theory it might work. But I don't think it's ideal, man. It's really not ideal. But then again, Well, we got Monte Williams now, but last year Dwayne Casey did so many switches on defense that you would have wished everybody was out there being tall and athletic, because you'd end up with the shorty old Corey Joseph playing defense on dang Giannis. Okay, so I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I hope it's not the norm. I hope it's a situational thing. But I'm thinking, overall, James Wiseman should be the backup center, which I hate to say that because I think he's got potential, obviously. But I like Duran better, plain simple, man. So we'll see how those two do together out there. You obviously add Beef Stew, who can play the center or power forward position. He actually said that he wants to be the defensive anchor for this team, which, he could be a defensive anchor, but I'm not banking the defense on Isaiah Stewart. I'm just saying, man. But, Beef Stew has had nice progression. Last year he was shooting that three ball a bit, spacing his game out, which is a 6'8" player. That is typically, he was playing center mostly, but able to extend that range and play the power forward spot, because you got to be able to shoot the four these days. That's just how the game's run out there. So for him to say that he was focusing on defense, wants to be a defensive anchor, I trust Beef Stew that he put in that work this offseason. I think we're going to see it in his game. So, I like, personally, probably, Wiseman and Beef Stew off the bench, and then Bojan probably starting at that 4 spot. But I could be convinced of a few other things. Like, Bojan, cool. He can also be a scoring 6-man. We'll kind of see about that, man. Who else we got here that's notable to talk about? Marvin Bagley III. Calls up Boston Celtics. I know you guys are lacking some depth, and I know that you traded away an injury-prone big man Robert Williams, but guess what, man? For 2 second-round draft picks and a matching salary, maybe we'll take Peyton. You know what? How about this? Killian Hayes, Marvin Bagley for Peyton Pritchard, man. Would you all be down for that? Maybe something like that? I don't know, man. But, Marvin Bagley, Kings fans were right. When he is playing, which is rarely, he's pretty good, in the pick and roll situation. Use athleticism around the basket. I don't really love him shooting the basketball. I don't really love him doing anything except catching the occasional alley-oop. I give up on him. The Pistons already have a logjam with who should be the starting center. But then you put Marvin Bagley's minutes into play. It's just not worth it, man. It's just not worth it. We got Isaiah Livers, who's going to be out for about 2 months. He's from the University of Michigan. I loved watching him there. He was an injury-prone player there too. But when he is playing, he's a 6'8" guy that can shoot the rock, and he can defend decently. I think he's a very slow, nonchalant type of player, but he's smart. He's got a high basketball IQ. So him being out, I don't know. I think it's going to send him back a little bit, but I don't know if he was going to crack the rotation anyway. Then we got, let's just talk about these 3 vets all together, man. Monte Morris, Joe Harris, Alec Burks. So all 3 of those guys, when you look at the young Pistons, you're like, the young guys should start, right? Because they're the ones that are going to be the future of this team. But I think when you have so many veterans like that can come in and not only give mentorship and guidance to these young Pistons, but also when things are going rough, maybe it's like 2 minutes, 3 minutes into the second quarter, and all of a sudden your star player ain't playing great. You got Monte Morris, you got Alec Burks out there, you got Joe Harris that can instantly know how to get it done and just bring a little bit of consistency and control. So all 3 of those guys, listen, it's going to be a tight rotation out there because the young players should be getting the playing time the majority, but that's going to come down to Monty Williams. I don't know how it's going to go. I could see early on in the season Monty kind of focusing on, the already established stars like Cade Cunningham, and then, incorporate in the young bloods like a Sar Thompson as the season goes on, or maybe he just throws them into the fire. So either way, it's like there's 2 options there, right? I mean, but the veterans, they're going to have to be mature about it because they're not the focus of the team, but love to have them here. And then finally, we got Bojan Bogdanovic to talk about. So, Bojan, leading scorer last season. I called him YMCA. This dude was a bucket. But he was a bucket on a very bad team. In a normal circumstance, he's going to be somebody that is going to be like a 3rd or 4th option on a championship team. But I still like him on the squad, man, especially, with Cade Cunningham. That's the thing. People want garbage on my Pistons so much from last season. Like, we had so many injuries. And we had guys that really stepped up in those moments. So you combine them all together, everybody can stay healthy. Like, it could be a blessing in disguise from last season going into this season here, man. But, that's all we got for this video. I'm going to say Pistons predictions, realistically speaking, there are going to be some growing pains, but I think they're at least a play-in team. It's a deep Eastern Conference. There's a lot of work to be done. And, you know, we're going to have to beat teams that nobody outside Detroit is going to give a chance to beat, man. So, like my Detroit Lions, we have a lot to prove, but I think they can prove it. So that's all we got for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to drop that like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and peace out, my friends.